It's me, a little unicorn. And it's me, a unicorn. And we got a story to read to you. I haven't heard it yet. I have a story to read to you. And it might be a little scary, but I promise you'll like it in the end. I don't like scary. I promise you'll love it in the end. It's called Way Up and Over Everything. Like everything, everything, everything. Passed down from generation to generation, this is a story that celebrates the power of the most poignant desire of every man and woman and child to be free. By Alice McGill, illustrated by Jude Daly. Dilly Dally? I think it's just Dally. My great-grandmama's mama told her, and she told me this story about a long time ago. How long? Long. Okay. That looks like her and her grandmama. Yeah, that looks like her and her grandmama. And that looks like her and her grandmama. Yeah, that looks like her and her grandmama too. Okay. My great-grandmama's mama was named Jane. She was born and raised near the coast of Georgia on the plantation of Old Man Devereaux. That's what the enslaved people called him, behind his back. To his face, they had to call him Master. Ugh, I know. Jane was around 16 years old in 1842. That spring, she said, word spread among the enslaved that Old Man Devereaux bought 5 new slaves from Africa off the boats in Charleston. From there, he sent them to a place behind deep woods to teach them how to work in the fields and how to talk just like I'm talking to you right now. You mean how to talk English? Yeah. Anyhow, one morning at daybreak, just at eating time, the overseer led a mule and wagon into the quarters. There on the wagon sat 2 young men and 3 young women, chained together, the quarters up in age women, Sis Bella and Sis Sarah, ceased stirring the cooking pots. A crowd of grown folks and children standing in the eating line stared at them. The 2 young men in the wagon kept looking around at the cabins, the peach trees, and up towards Old Man Devereaux's house. Calm-like, the African woman turned her smooth, dark faces to watch the overseer unlock the last set of chains. Chains? That doesn't sound fun. It wasn't. They don't do that anymore, right? What? Chains? Let's finish reading the story. Get the wagon, the overseer shouted. The new African scooted off and onto the ground. Old Man Devereaux walked up. They worked in the fields today, he told the overseer. Mr. Devereaux, sir, the overseer said. I thought you said for me to train them more first. They worked today, Old Man Devereaux said. With that, he went stepping back to his big house. The house does look big. The overseer pointed to the eating line and shouted, Get over there. Sis Sarah quickly called out to everybody. Y'all move back. Let the new folks eat first. Like company. Like having manners? Yeah, like having manners. Well, that's nice they would let them eat first. Yeah. They were new and maybe might have been scared. Oh, this kind of seems scary. Just wait, it gets good. Before Jane could move aside, One of the young men stepped in line behind her. She turned to get a good look at him. He smiled, touched his chest, and whispered, "Edet, Edet," like he was telling her his name. "Shut your mouth, Bob," the overseer shouted. You know your name. Your name is Bob now." The one called Bob closed his mouth. After Sarah scooped boiled beans and ham skins into tin bowls for them, they all sat on wooden benches and got done eating right quick and quiet. Before long, the overseer returned on horseback. Folks ran to grab hoes, then followed the overseer on foot. Fields of cotton had to be planted, and the new Africans would have to learn hard work by the whip for the rest of their lives. If a hoe rested too long, the whip popped. If the cotton seeds didn't hit the dirt fast enough, the whip popped. Nobody could tell from what direction the sound of the whip would pop. Well, that doesn't sound nice. I don't like that. That's not nice at all. I don't like it either. Just before sundown, the up-in-age women clapped the eating time bell. The overseer rode up toward the big house. Hungry and thirsty, the slaves gathered around the cooling bucket of water and the cooking pot. But the new Africans waited on the side like they weren't hungry, and the thirst didn't bother them at all. When the crowd thinned out, Jane noticed that the Africans no longer waited on the side. They were gone. Folks searched the cabins, the barns, and the grape arbor. The Africans could not be found. Oh, this is getting exciting. I like this. I knew you would love it. I hope they're okay. Oh, just find out and watch. When somebody raced up to the big house and told old man Devereaux, he ran out hollering, "Get the dogs! Hurry up! Get the dogs!" Folks hid in the cabins when the overseer put the leashes on them, growling, "Trying to get away, dogs." Jane didn't hide. She was scared, though. The dogs picked up on the scent from where the Africans had sat on the wagon. They pulled the overseer back to the field. Old man Devereaux lagged behind the overseer, puffing and sweating. He probably wasn't used to all that running and doing things that he was supposed to do. Yeah, I know, right? He had everybody else do his work. He didn't know how to do it himself. Jane crept along the outer edge of the field, hoping she could somehow warn the new Africans. She trailed old man Devereaux to the rise in the middle of the field. There, in a circle, some distance away, the 5 Africans stood holding hands and looking at the sky. They called out in their own African speech. The overseer ran faster. "I got you now," he shouted. "Oh, no, you don't. You don't got them now." Ooh. But the Africans started whirling around in a circle so fast that their feet looked apart from their legs. By the time Jane and old man Devereaux reached them, the African woman dropped hands and stepped out in the air like she was climbing a ladder. Then she moved her arms like wings and her feet like tail feathers, and she flew like a bird, like with this feather. Yeah, exactly. And before she could get out of sight, another stepped out in the air. And then another. Oh, wow, I love this story. The dog snared. Arr, arr. Old man Devereaux rubbed his face like his eyes didn't know how to tell him the truth. Stop that, he ordered. I paid for you. You belong to me. No, you don't. No, they don't. That's not nice. No, they don't. Okay, you're right. Well, the Africans kept climbing up in the air until only one was left. The one who had smiled at my great-grandmama's Mama Jane. Well, it seemed like he just took his own lonesome time and hovered there in the air. Catch him, old man Devereaux ordered. The overseer jumped up and almost grabbed his foot. But the one they called Bob, he just stepped higher and higher. Go, Bob, go! Go, Bob, go! Then he turned to look down at my great-grandmama's mama and touched his chest. His voice filled the air with Edette, Edette, like he was trying to tell the whole world his real name. Edette, Edette! Jane shouted up to him, take me with you. But Edette kept treading air with arms like wings. His feet moved like tail feathers, and he sailed beyond the clouds, way up and over everything. Oh, I love Edette. He can borrow my feather anytime he needs to. You're so sweet, little unicorn. Oh, I'm serious, though. Had they gone back to Africa? Jane wondered. She had waved goodbye. She hoped so. I hope so. I hope they go back to their family and friends and they have fun and have a celebrating party and they all fly around in circles and they have fun celebrations. I know, me too. Old man Devereaux stared and stared at the sky like the Africans would come back. Yeah, right. I hope they don't come back. They won't come back. Not to him. Finally, he said to the overseer, if I hear any talk of this, you will lose your position. And you, gal, which one are you? Jane, my great-grandmama's mama said loud and clear. Well, Jane, if you tell anyone any word about this, I will sail you down the river. Well, I hope she gets this feather and flies away. Yeah, me too. But Jane did tell. She told this story when she was a slave, living in the quarters. And she told it after she and her children escaped to freedom. And her children told this story too. Oh, so they kind of did fly away. Yeah, kind of. You see, my great-grandmama's mama told her, and she told me this story about a long, long time ago when Africans could fly like birds, way up and over everything. Tell me about this story. It sounds like the birds are already talking about it this morning. The gift of flying was created by a wish for freedom. The first African slaves were captured from their villages and shipped to America about 400 years ago. Many of these people suffered and died during the long journey known as the Middle Passage. Those who survived landed on waterfronts to be sold to the highest bidder. For the rest of their lives, Africans were forced to work without pay for slaveholders. The Africans had to leave their language behind. Therefore, they learned to speak American English in many different dialects throughout the colonies and later slaveholding states. Through these dialects, the Africans told their stories and sang the songs that reminded them of their homeland. According to the traditional stories, people trying to escape mysteriously disappeared into thin air. Those left behind sang songs and told stories about these flying folks. Sometimes, stories said, a hoe continued to work in the field after the Africans had flown away. People of African descent continued to tell the flying stories many generations after the Civil War ended in 1865. And now I tell the flying story that was passed down in my family through Mama Jane, born in 1857. She was named after her mama, the Jane in this story. Mama Jane, my great-grandmama, my great-grandmother, told a story as if unveiling a great, wonderful secret. My siblings and I believe that certain Africans share this gift of taking to the air, way, way up and over everything. I'm gonna fly this feather for them. You do that, little mini unicorn. Here's to you guys. Go way, way up and over everything, please. Don't let anyone ever get you down.